Good evening, all. Vinodini here. I'm a member in Sub Chennai. So I am privileged to welcome Jitendra, who is a senior technical lead, who will take us through the Sitecore experience, commerce, customization, and extension today. On behalf of SUG, welcoming Jitendra, extending my warm welcome to all the participants. So over to Jitendra. We are very excited to hear from you.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I'm presenting today. So and thanks to all for joining. I know it's sometimes hard on the working days to manage the time, but thanks a lot. So I will start this session. So today basically we will discuss about the Sitecore Commerce. Um, what is the required things we would need for the basic setup for the development machine, and what all are the options available where we can quickly customize an extension, like add the extension on that. Okay, so let's get started. So I will start with a little background from my side. So I have been working in the IT industries almost 13 years now. 7 years on Sitecore projects. I have did 8 Sitecore project, and out of that 5 I have worked on the XP and XC. Mostly work on the search, including Solar, Azure, Covio, and Fusion. I did project on the Sitecore Commerce 8.2.1, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, and recently we were planning for 10.0. I'm also certified Sitecore developer, also certified Microsoft Technology Specialist, Covio certified, and Google certified on GTMG and the e-commerce analytics. There are few personal info. I'm living in Sydney here, my family. I got awarded from the President of India in 2000 and the state level winner, the Junior Award. So before I get a start, I would emphasize here that about the Sitecore community. So if you see, if you want to learn about the Sitecore Commerce, or if you have any issue or any questions, any problems, so these are the community links. You can post all your query there, and there are a lot of good folks who are there to help you. So don't hesitate to write or post your any query, or if you're having any issues on that. Going forward, so this is more about me and the community. I have been blogging almost 10 years now. 7 years I have been blogging on the Sitecore. In this side, you can see on the Slack channel, if you post any questions related to Commerce, XConnect, or Sitecore, you will immediately get the answer. So that's about the community. Let's start our main focus agenda for today. So if you see the agenda today, basically we'll discuss about the high level architecture of the Solar Sitecore Commerce. And the second point, I won't take much time on the second point. It's just the development environment setup. I will give a reference that how quickly you can set up your machines for the Commerce. We'll high level discuss about the Commerce key features that include shopping cart, inventory, order, checkouts, entitlement, pricing, shops, fulfillment, promotions, catalog, and payment. Then we'll discuss about the commerce entities, like what the architecture view and one sample plugins. So we'll provide you the walkthrough. So that is the high level agenda. So the first slide is the architecture flow diagram. So here, basically, if you see, slightly blue highlighted is the commerce engine. So I kept a few box there, which is, you can see the gift card, promotion, shops card, fulfillment, payment, order, invoice, customer, inventory, pricing, and catalog. So these are the commerce engine plugins which are available out of the box. and there is a provision if you want to extend it. So let's say example, some basic need would be you want to pull in the product details from a backend system. You want to push the order to third party SAP system, right? So you would need an integration point. So down the line in the second row, so I mentioned the integration points, and in the left side, you can see there's a content hub. So with Sitecore 9.3 and with Sitecore 10.0, XP 10.0, there is a provision where we can manage the product information and the assets both in the DAM system, and from the DAM there is a plugin available where we can uh, push the data, where we can pull the data from the DAM into the XE system. So that's the high level view. Now going forward, so this is just a screenshot mentioning that when you start the development with the Sitecore Commerce, you would need to make sure that your local machine is up and running, and machine should point your the .NET Core using the engine. It should point to your local host 5000 point. Now, for any of your local environment, if you find any issue, I think these are the few reference points. These are the people who have written good blogs, so we can take the reference. So first thing, make sure when you start the Sitecore Commerce journey, you should have your local development ready, and these are the reference link. Now, starting with the commerce item, so there are two options, as I mentioned, that either you can write code to create the properties, or you can use the entity composer. So code, basically when you do more data ingestion and doing the integration point, then you would need you would take this first approach. But if you have predefined structure, you will go and set up this through the composer template. So for the composer template, this is the UI where we define the composer templates, and then we can associate this template with any of the existing entity. So I will just take a pause here. Let me show you here on the actual site. So so this is the commerce setup. If we go, let me refresh this page first. Okay, I will keep this aside and then we can continue discuss. And just a second. Okay, my system got disconnected. Let me. Okay, I'm connecting my machine again, so we can start. We can continue. So this would be the composer entity where we define the composer entity, and within the entity, we define basically all the fields. If I go further, so once we define the entity and the fields, this is the place where we will link those entity, the newly created entity with the existing entity. So we have these entities available in the Sitecore Commerce, like sellable items, catalog, category, promotion, books, promotion, price book, price card, customer. So once we create this one, we can associate this with existing entity. And this is where we can see those new entity in the order section. Let me connect to my machine again. Okay, I think it's loading the project. Let's continue. I will keep this aside. So while it's loading, we can discuss it again. So okay, so now here, because this system is still thinking, so let's continue. So this is the place where once you define your composer entity, like let's say you define that with the order entities, the predefined entity, I want to link invoice details, right? So you will see here like the demo order, the custom entity, and from here you can put your data here. So this custom entity will be associated with your order entities. Now in this second point, I just wanted to let you know, let's say from your code or from your commerce engine pipelines or block, if you want to update any of the custom entities, right? So the requirement, like the few requirement could be like when you are sending your order to a backend system, let's say SAP system, they want to see some more details about, let's say for the customer details, they want to see more details about the orders, like payment details. So in that view, in those type of scenarios, we can easily create this composer entity. We can link those entity with the existing entity, let's say with the customer, and then once we process our order through the commerce engine, we can use this method, like let's say get entity view method, which basically accepts the entity ID. Let's say this is order ID, we can pass this as a customer ID, this would be the view name, and then we can pass this a composer ID. So this would be the ID of the composer template. Now in the next step, this is simple code that how you will get, let's say, customer details. So in your pipelines, basically we'll pass the customer ID, and then we'll pass the policy, because in the policy we would define all the composer ID and all the settings. So from there you can create a simple request, and from the request we can convert this in a JSON format, and then we can send it to the HTTP post. So from there we can get the data. Moving forward, this is the entity of the order. If you see, so when we add this fields, so in the default entity it will create a new component. So this is a list of the component which you can see. If I go next, this is the do action update. So when we want to update any of the composer entity value, then we would use this action, and then it will update the data. Let me hold here. Let me check if my system is up again. It's still thinking. Okay, let me start this thing again. Okay, so let's continue with this PPT file. So the do action would be like when you have your entity view, you can get this entity view, and then you can change the value, and then you can call the same do action method to update this value with the entity. So now this is about the architecture. So for the Sitecore Commerce, it's using the plugin architecture. So it's more about all things, policies and structure are predefined. So we can use it. We need to follow this structure. So it's very well designed structure. So you can see the structure is an application is very well designed framework. I just mentioned this is structure for the host application. So you can plug in your custom plugin within this commerce engine, and you can plug out. So it's the architecture view. Now the benefit of using the plugin architecture is, of course, it's a rapid development. We can implement all the plugins with the coexist, like different team members can work all together to create these plugins. Stability, it's a more stable framework, and the flexibility, we can integrate with the payment gateway or third-party integration. Now, these are the extensibility models which comes with the Sitecore Commerce. So there are three models. One is the composable extensibility, second one is the progressive enhancement, and third is the opt-in complexity. So by all this mean is like you can plug in your own custom plugin with the Commerce, and we can leverage their existing Commerce engine platform. This is the by default entity of the Commerce engine. It's a base entity, and if you see the structure of the entity is there are few predefined property. Let's say composite key created by and updated by, and there are two main things which I just wanted to highlight. One is the policy, and the second one is the component. So each entity will have the list of policies which we can use to manage the flow, and it will also have the list of components. So let's say for card and order, it will have details about the payment and let's say shipping details. If we want to add a new component which will hold this with the entities, we can create our own component and then we can add this component with the existing entity. So that's the entity structure. Now, when you see these entities in database, so you can see there are lines item. This is for the order entities, and there's a list of components. So each component will have like shipping details, customer details, and if you want to add, we can add this component while working on the entities. Now, what is the component? So component basically it's a structure. It's like a model which will hold the values of the data with the entities, and which we can use to store in the database, and then we can use to keep the more details with entities. Now, pipelines and blocks. So before again, I just want to hold it here. Let me check my system. I wanted to make it more practical session. Just a second, guys. Let me restart my VM. So okay, I'm just restarting my VM. So basically pipelines and blocks. So with the Sitecore XP platform, the pipelines are the pre-built structure and blocks are subset of the pipelines which execute a few commands, right? So in this screen you can see these are the defined pipelines here, like let's say initialize inventory block, initialize environment and sellable items. If we want to override any of the pipelines, so we can replace the pipelines and we can inject our own pipelines. We open this platform. Sorry guys, I just restarted the Common server and it got hanged, so I just need to restart it again. So again, I will move forward and then we can see my system again. So Then there's a policies. So policy is more about we kept in the JSON format to keep all the variables and the details. It's just similar like we have in the settings. We keep all the variables. So similar for each plugins, we define a policy, and in the policy, basically we define all our settings. When we do the bootstrap, so these policies goes into the database and it keep persistence in the application. So we can use those policies. Okay. Now command is again a set of executable unit of work which we can use to get the request and the response. It's based on the token. In the commerce platform, typically it's created in a controller to being used for the pipeline executions. No service manager is plugins use command instead. So that's for the command. Now minions. So minions are the roles in the Sitecore commerce, which basically use as a backend services, which process the order, data cleanup, and index update and rebuilds. For the payment processing, we use for the refund and sending those order details to backend SAP system, and to process the sales activities and the processing. Now, this is the time for the demo. I think hopefully my machine should work now. Okay, I've just started. Okay, so while it's loading, let me take this opportunity to explain you a few more things. So with the Sitecore, when we do the basic setup, basically it will provide us a default SDK. So within the SDK, you will see all the basic setup, like the Sitecore Commerce sample plugin is there, and we would also see a console application which has all the code for getting the token, creating the sellable items, and creating the customer. So that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, it's getting okay. Finally, it's loaded. So, so this is the sample console app. I wanted to show you my customer solution. So this with the sample console app, basically, okay, let me open this one. So this console app, you will see if you want to update or if you want to operate any CRUD operation, so you can use the sample code. So let's say for the authentication, how you will generate the tokens, and these tokens, after generating this token, let's say if you want to create a customer, or if you want to create any details here, let's say for sellable items, let me see where is the, so if I want to show you, so let's say, so let's say these are the code already available with the SDK. So we can get this reference, let's say getting the catalog, get all languages. And for customer, I was talking about this one. So let's say if you want to create a customer, so these are the scenarios available. Get customer, if you want to, like while processing the order, if you want to get the customer details, we can use this code. Otherwise, I showed you that the entity view, you pass the entity reference, the entity name, composer ID name, and the edit view reference, and then you will get the complete edit view, which we can use to send in the backend system. So for the add customer, again, this is the complete code set is available. We just need to get this code wherever we would need. Use that authenticate get token, plug in this code in your pipeline, and that should work. Now let me check. This is still thinking. That's fine. So I was talking about this solution. So in this solution, you can see it comes with out of the box. I just created a one feature called order. So the way you create the option is first with the SDK, you will install your plugin file, this commerce plugin. Once you install it, it will give you an option to uh, create a plugins. And from the, so this is a one plugin which I have just created. So in this plugin, basically you will see these are the policies. So in the policies, basically you will define the name of your plugin. You will define the namespace and the of your plugins, and then you will define all your properties, right? And then you can use within your project. So this is configuration where you will register all the dependency. Now in this plugin particular, what I'm trying to do here is I'm overriding the order generation flow of Sitecore Commerce. So there is a interface available for iOrder place pipelines. So I'm using that interface, and from this interface, I'm replacing order place assign confirmation block with my custom order generator block, right? So once I register this dependency, what will happen that instead of using this one uh, uh, pipelines, so sorry, instead of this block, my custom block will be executed. And if I go in my custom block, so here basically I'm just running this block saying that the order confirmation ID I'm just generating from a code. So here I just put this fixed value that whatever code I'm getting or the from the order entities, just subtract with the last 7 to 9 digit and put some meaningful, if it is a multi-site, put the name of the multi-site considering from the store name, and then return it. So with this small set of code, I'm able to override the Sitecore plugin. So and then I'm able to use my own blockade. So so that's where you'll define the policy, and then this is the pipelines block, and this is how you'll do your injection. So let me again check if it is up. Okay, so finally it's up. Okay, it's getting very slow. Okay, so still it's thinking. So let me continue with this slide, and I will come back here. So demo which I was talking about, that you can generate the order number. This is the reference of my blog, which is basically mentioning all the details starting from a new project, and these are the steps if you want to deploy it. And this is my GitHub link where if you want to download, you can download this plugins. So let me show. Yeah, so these are the few scenarios when we start with the commerce, like you would need extending the sellable entities, extending the order entities, card entities, inventory and promotion. Sometimes you would need to extend the payment flow. So let me show you that part. Okay, I think now this is up. So okay, so I was talking about this composer entity. So we can go there. So we can quickly create a new composer. So there are a few options we can remove. So let's create a new template and give it a name. Let's say demo. Let's say I will give it name 101 demo customer. Okay, now this demo customer entity which we have created, now I will select this one, and now here I will quickly create a few properties. Let's say for the customer, if you want to have test, uh, let's say description. So I will keep this description here. What is the property type? So there are a few options. We can choose date and time. We can choose decimal, integer, boolean. I will keep string for here. So okay, so now we have created a one field description, and if I come here, let's say for this demo customer entity, I want to associate this entities with the customer, right? So if I go, so these are the out of the box, I can associate the same entities with multiple existing entities. So I will associate with the customer. So if I just do it, okay, so now this entity is associated with the customer. The same way I can just go link these entities with, let's say, order. Okay, so I can associate the same with entity with the order. And if I go in the order section, let's say, okay, so this is the order section. If I go in all the order section, select all. Okay, so these are the order which I have created. Now here we just added this demo customer. Like, let's say if you want to add more details, and from here we can come and we can add more details, more details about the customer. Okay, now if you see here, if I just save this details, okay, now whenever we open this in an edit view, this window, let me show you here, for the demo customer, if you open this in edit view, you can see we are calling the same get entity view which I was showing you, right? And if you see the input parameter of this one would be the same. If I go in the header, if I check this input, so you can see now this commerce engine is passing the entity. This is the order ID, and it's passing this composer ID. So this is the ID of this composer entity view. And when we update any value, let's say to customer details, so it will go and do this update, do UXXN command, which I was showing you. It's similar to uh, the console application, which was adding the customer and updating, get the customer and updating the customer. It's adding the customer. So that is where we can use the existing code and leverage the functionality. Now with the existing component, the SDK, there is a options which I want to show you, which is this one in the solution item source. So this is again for the payment brain tree. So if you want to extend, let's say it's a very common requirement that when we do with the commerce, that the the client want to have a different payment provider. So that's something we can use the same payment brain tree out of the box plugin as a reference. So this plugin has all these details, let's say if you want to get the tokens, want to create the federated payment block, and if you want to validate the payment, if you want to do the refund, void, or if you want to register any plugin and want to send these details to the SAP. So this code block is available. Let's say if I go to validate part, so you can go there. We can take this as a reference and we can write our code here to validate the payment process. Like the payment, the order should have this component, and then we can write our code. So that's all about this sample requirement. And now this is again for the promotion. If you want to extend it, this is how we will do it. Yeah, so I think that's all from my side. I'm happy to discuss if you have any questions or queries.
Jitendra and Nizar here. So, any sample project to extend the XSA storefront?
So hi, Nira. So what was the question? Sorry. So you're saying any reference project which is available to extend it, right?
To extend XSA storefront.
Yeah. So there are few reference projects are available. Like Habitat is one. Let's say if you want to implement a wish list functionality or something like that, right? So I will send you maybe in the channel. So there are few out of the box reference plugins are available. So one of them is I showed you, right, this one. So this is also out of the box. So Nazar, are you asking the only plugins, or you asking for the complete type of vanilla setup with the commerce?
Complete setup.
Yeah, so it is available till 9.2. There is a Habitat solution available, but it's supported till 9.2. We haven't migrated for with the 9.3, so it's available. I will send you the link for that.
Okay. So that how the connection between the XSA storefront and the BISAF, if we following the OData and the GraphQL stuff like that, or how do you do it?
So XP is it's a like .NET framework, and XC is on the .NET Core, right? So from .NET Core is again it's on Kestrel, and the .NET framework is on the IS. So we need to follow the OData layer. So OData layer is between which generate the connections, and we talk through this OData layer between these two components.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah. So in terms of the commerce, even for the composer template, I was about to mention that. So with the composer template, if you see here, um, now for the deployment of the composer template, right? So this is something it's available. Like we need to plug in with your commerce engine, so we can export this composer in a JSON format, and then we can import it. So the code is available on the GitHub. So we need to just plug in as a controller, and then we can, if you want to, let's say if you're doing the development on the local machine, on even on the development, we can use that controller, and then we can deploy this composer template to upper environment. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Do we have any questions for that? Okay, so I will give you my details, the contact details. If you have any questions, like after the session, feel free to connect with me. Yep.
Yeah, sure, Jitendra. We'll connect with you if we have any question on e-commerce. Thank you for such an amazing webinar. It's been great actually. I have not seen any custom pipeline for exiting the promotions and all.
Yep. So
So
for the
thank you
sorry,
for the promotion. You were about to say something.
sorry, can you say again? Your voice was breaking.
Okay. Actually, I was saying it's such an incredible webinar.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for the promotion one, we did a few customizations. So if you need any details like how we can create our own promotion, custom promotion, just send me the message. I will let you know.
Sure, sure. On behalf of Sukshan, I also thank you. Uh,
Yep,
extending my thanks to all the participants also. Have a great day. Thank you.
yep. Thank you all, guys.
Thank you.